My loves, welcome back to the Amanda Millie podcast, where we balance chaos and navigate the messy moments of life one day at a time. If you're new here, hi, my name is Amanda Millie. Thanks for joining me. This podcast is all about self-growth. It's about healing and fully stepping into your power, mind, body, and spirit. Before we get into today's topic, I just have to say thank you so much to everybody who's listened to our inaugural episode. Seriously, the love on that first episode means a lot to me. And listen, if you haven't already, do me a little favor, leave me a quick review. Not because it's for my ego or anything like that, I promise. I'm good. But it's because when you do, the algorithm takes notice and it's like you're giving it a little nudge and saying, hey, this podcast is worth sharing. And that means more people who need these conversations will actually get to hear them. So if you're vibing with this, hit that review button on whatever platform you're listening from and let's spread the love. All right, so let's get into it. What are we talking about today? Today we're talking about people pleasing, aka the thing that so many of us do without even realizing just how much it's draining us. You know, for years, I actually was that girl. The one who said yes to everybody else, said yes when she really wanted to say no. I was the one who was constantly rearranging her own plans, canceling her schedule, and putting herself last to make sure everyone else was happy. I feel exhausted just thinking about it now because that was a lot. And deep down, I didn't feel like I was worthy of love. I was seeking validation through the approval of others. I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. But that's clearly the pattern that was repeating itself over and over again. And you know what? I really thought that made me a good person. I thought it meant I was kind, I was generous, I was caring. But was I really? I was so exhausted. I was very resentful. I may have said yes to everyone. That doesn't mean I was happy about it. I was disconnected from myself. Nothing about it was fun at all. I don't think I even knew who I was because I was way too busy being whoever I thought I needed to be in order for me to fit in and be liked. I even remember always trying to fit into these friendship groups and pretending to be somebody that I'm not just so that I could be accepted. So that then means even those people couldn't really even accept me because I wasn't being myself. I wasn't showing up as who I am. The whole cycle was messed up, to be honest. And then just the other day, a friend of mine sent a video that actually really spoke to me. It was a video on Instagram and this lady was talking about people pleasing. And she said, what if instead of calling it people pleasing, we called it abandoning ourselves? I mean, let that sink in. What if every time you put someone else's comfort above your own needs, every time you bite your tongue to avoid conflict, you're not just being nice, you're abandoning yourself? And that hit me so hard because, wow, how many times have we done that without even realizing? How many times have we ignored that little voice inside of us, the one that's begging us to choose ourselves, just so we don't accept somebody else? And it's not just about the burnout that occurs from that. It's way deeper than that, because every time we abandon ourselves like this, we're literally sending a signal. We're sending out a message to our inner child. We're sending out a message to our soul, our subconscious. We're saying, I don't matter. We're saying my needs are not important. We're saying everyone else comes first. And let's be real, what does that do to your spirit over time? Like, what kind of wounds are we creating by constantly putting ourselves last? And this is why people pleasing is so much deeper than just being nice, because in reality, it's a pattern of self-neglect. And when you do it over and over again, it chips away at your confidence, your boundaries, and your sense of self. And let me tell you, you deserve better. You deserve more than to just be a shell of the person that you came here to be. So let's break this down. What is people pleasing really? At its core, it's a coping mechanism. It's something we do when we believe on some level that our worth is tied to what we do for others. Most of us learned it young, maybe grew up in a home where love felt conditional. Maybe you got praised when you were helpful but felt ignored when you had needs of your own. Or maybe conflict made you so anxious, so you started smoothing things over just so you could keep the peace. And whatever the case, this is a survival tactic. It's not your fault. But at some point, especially now that we're adults with full autonomy over your life, you have to ask yourself, is this still serving me? And if you're finding like it is serving you, then maybe the question to ask is, how is this serving me? What am I benefiting from this? Because the truth is, when you constantly put everyone else first, you teach people that your needs don't matter. And that's a lesson we don't want to reinforce. You remember the saying, you teach people how to treat you by the behaviors you allow. So how do we break the cycle? Here's what helped me. Build self-awareness. Start noticing when you say yes out of obligation instead of genuine desire. Pause and ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I feel like I have to? Journaling is the tool that can really help you uncover these patterns and triggers in your life, in your behavior, and build awareness. And that's a great first step to change. Set boundaries. You don't need a 10-minute explanation when you're saying no. Just a simple, I can't commit to that right now. Or just no, full stop. That's a full sentence. You do not have to justify choosing yourself. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's such a powerful way to reclaim your time and energy. Prioritize self-care. Now, I'm not just talking about a nice bubble bath. I'm talking about deep self-care. Do some breath work, meditation, movement, journaling, pursue a hobby. The kind of things that will reconnect you to yourself. Challenge your beliefs, especially the negative ones. Ask yourself why. Why do I feel like I need someone else's approval? Start challenging the belief that your worth is tied to how much you do for others. That was a really big one for me, to be honest. And sometimes it creeps up and I still have to bring myself back. You are not selfish for putting yourself first. Say it with me. My needs are as important as anyone else's, because they are. Affirm to yourself, I am enough as I am. Accept that not everyone is going to like you, and that's actually okay. The right people will love you for who you are, not for what you do for them. Remember that. I'm going to repeat that. The right people will love you for who you are and not for what you do for them. Now, I need to say this because I feel like this is you will most likely experience this. So when you start stepping into your power, you will meet resistance. That's a given. But if you're at least aware, then you won't feel like you've been sucker punched when it happens. Think of it like an exercise. The first time you set a boundary, it's going to feel uncomfortable. That's because this is a muscle. You haven't been working this muscle, but the more you do it, the stronger you get. And just like when you start a new workout routine, that first week is kind of hell. Expect that there will be pushback too. Some people are going to be so proud of you. They'll see you stepping into your power, finally speaking up for yourself, and they'll be your biggest cheerleaders. Keep those people around. But there will also be people heavily triggered by your change. These are the people who benefited from your people pleasing, the ones who liked that you never say no, you're always available, you bend over backwards for them. They enjoyed the access that they had to you. They enjoyed being able to get as much as they can out of you. And when you stop playing that role, they'll throw a fit, all right? Some people will react like children, like a child throwing their toys out of the pram, you know? They will guilt trip you. They will make you feel like you've changed, and you have. You have changed. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's actually an amazing thing. That shows growth, right? But don't let this deter you. If someone is mad at you because you set a boundary, it's just confirmation that the boundary was necessary, to be honest. You might lose some friends, and I say to that, good riddance. Those were not your people. Those were energy vampires. They were siphoning your energy, and they don't really want to see you thrive, sis. They are just there for themselves. They're not here for you. Let them go. Sometimes we hold on to these friendships for way longer than serves us because, you know, we're holding on to the history, or we're holding on to the memories in the past, and we don't want to rock the boat or upset anyone, abandoning yourself once again. But the moment you start choosing yourself, things will shift. You'll feel lighter, more at peace, and you can start attracting people who respect your boundaries instead of testing them. Your vibe attracts your tribe, babe. It really does. Seek support though. If you're feeling like you cannot fully do this on your own, it is totally okay to seek support, whether it's from friends that you trust, family. I highly recommend therapy. I think we should all have professional help at one point or another. A therapist or a coach will really help you work through deeper issues of self-worth. They'll really be able to take you deeper than you probably could on your own. So let me ask you this. Where in your life have you been abandoning yourself? Where have you been putting others ahead of you at your own expense? Sit with that. That's a nice journaling prompt to just see what happens. Journal on that, sit with that. You don't have to stay in that cycle. Remember, you are worthy of love and respect just as you are. Start saying yes to yourself and really creating your life on your terms. Now, here's your wellness tip of the week. This week's tip is pause before yes. The pause before yes rule. Before committing to anything, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, do I actually want to do this? Or am I just saying yes to avoid the discomfort? Be honest. Be honest with yourself, because that 1 second of mindfulness can be the difference between alignment and burnout. Now, before we wrap up, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. It really does help the podcast grow. And if you want more tips on self-concept, self-care, biohacking, and thriving authentically, check out my website, amandamillie.com. There is so much there for you. You can also follow me on Instagram at Amanda Millie, and you can follow the podcast pages. Instagram is the Amanda Millie Podcast. TikTok is at Amanda Millie Pod. All right, my loves, that is it for today. Thank you for spending time with me. Just remember, you are worthy of putting yourself first. You deserve it. So until next time, live inspired, heal fully, and thrive authentically. Take care.